Okay, so we're going to start today on page Kuf Lamed Gimel. But listen, let's not forget the part on the top. I just want to read the part at the top, which is really mostly so vague that that's why you need a lot of fill in. It starts by saying Galufi de Galifim. It's a carving of the carving, something like that. He says on page Kuf Lamed, what is this? Hey now. It's like a vision of a long snake. So he says, and this sounds like the Leshem a little bit. And mispashet lakanda, and it spreads from one side to the next. Zon v'choberesha, and I guess it curves around because its tail is by its head. Resha achora, the head goes backwards. Achid kaspin, and joins together with the shoulders. So I don't know exactly what it means. I look at this zoim. So this is tremendous anger. It guards this, or it holds inside this anger. I get the gones chad laelif yomin zeirim, and it's hidden 1,000 of 1,000 laelif yomim zeirim, a small days. What that means, I don't know. Is Galia Kultra Bekitroi, and it reveals is Malia, or it fills Kultra. I don't know what Kultra is, Bekitroi, with bindings. So then it says Sanpira Ba'advoi, and then it has a Sanpira is like a fin. He says Ba'advoi on its back or on its chest is B'Resha B'Mayim the Yama Rabba. So its head is broken from the water that comes in the Great Sea. And we quote this Tillim. It says, "Shibarta Roshi Tenidim." They broke the heads of the snakes, alamayim, on the water. The water broke them. And then the last part says, "Tren Hava." There were two of them. Chad is Chazra. One goes backwards. Taninim Kasiv Chaser. So the word Taninim is missing. It's missing one of the Yudin. Roshe Kamadat Omar. So when you said the heads, it's like I don't know, Kamadat Omar, like you said, Yecheskel B'debus Al Roshe Chachaya Rekia. So its image is on the head of the Chaya Rekia, or the Roshe, the heads of the Chaya Rekia. Okay, so that not particularly making a whole lot of sense. So you could see how maybe there's other interpretations could come into this. Where am I? Here we go. All right, now we'll look into the depth of this, try to see what it's talking about. So it says, Galufa de Galifi, Hakikos kala Hakikos, so it means the carving of the carving, or the mining out of the mining out. Vuhuba b'chinas kli harishon, this is the aspect of the first kli. V'shorshe nachash the klipa, and it is and it says, what happened? I lost the place. Okay, I'm sorry, I lost the place. He says, shall call ha-Keilim, and the root of all of the clay Keilim. Now he's talking about this first carving, right, or this first mining out. He says, ki eating the hakika, the carving out, the giluf, he bebechinas kli, the concept of this carving out, making a room, he says, is the aspect of a kli, that can be carved, the kabel or in order to be able to receive or. So you have to have a kli. V'hakli mitzamsem es or besocha. What happens with the kli is that the kli limits the light. So where does this carving out? I'm trying to find out the right word. I haven't got the right word yet. This carving out of the Keilim, and the concept of carving a place. They're the malachim that died. But then what happens is the nivraru ba'olam hatikun, and they're refined out in the olam hatikun v'desaknu b'chitzonius v'kelim, and they're built in such a way that become the chitzonius or kelim. So we're talking about the birurim that are coming from the malachim that died, and they are the formation. From them is formed this carving out of making a vessel. V'shorish ha'elyon shel biruri ha'malachim. So the upper root of the birurim that we're talking about, shemesu, hu ba'olam harishon, is in the first world. Asher ha'v'tikun harishon shel shlosh asa tikuni dikta derek anpin hanikra kale. Now let me get back to the shorish ha'elyon, the upper root of where the biruri of the malachim to make that died are. Ba'olam harishon, in the first rishon, is tied to the word kale. Asher batikun the rishon shel shlosh asa tikuni dikna de erik anpin hanikra kale. So the root, I'm not sure exactly what he said of the he said of the malachim shemesu, and then were refined out. Now that doesn't sound like a root to me, but okay, I'm gonna keep going on with this. But they get attached to that root, or that he's saying it comes from there to begin with, or the berurim come from there. I'm not sure. He said, because that's the place where they all went up into that place, the berurim, the choices of them, shal melech harishon, for the first king, shemeshu hadas hanikra bela ben beor. So the birurim come from this place. They go to that place, and that's the first. That's the first tikkun. What is his words? He kisham alo benivraru muvcha birurim shara bemelech harishon. This is the first king. Shemes shul hadas hanikra bela ben beor, which is das, which was bela ben beor, goes all the way up to the scale. And from this one place comes out all of the Keilim, and now he uses the word v'acharayim, and the backsides, shel hapartzufim hatachtainim, of the lower partzufim, and this he indicates who are they? They are Abba ve'ima, Zer Anpin and Nukva, ubebechinas alomas hatachtonas bri yitzir nasiya, and then everything comes out of the berurim that go into this word kale, which is the first tikkun of the beard of Erik Anpin. V'nimsa ki biruri hamalachim ha'elu ha'im shorish ha'kli shel ha'kelim. So ha'kelim ha'tachtonim. Again, he says that it comes out that the birurim of the malachim ha'elu, they become the root of the kli, which is carved out. Ha'kelim ha'tachtonim v'hu ha'nikra kan hakika called hakika. So this is the main place that the concept of hakika is seen. So there is where apparently some kind of a kli develops. The hainu kli harishon v'shorshe shel kol hakelim ka'amur. So I guess if you looked at it in Oivi, you would see all of the Keilim imitate that or like it. Now he says this idea. It has the appearance of a snake. So this aspect called Keilim is interesting phraseology here. He says the sinis hakelim shecha ba'olam harishon. So the creation, I guess he says b'chidas hakelim of olam harishon now. B'kol ha'partzuf v'cholomos nira kamarit demils nachash. So if you want to know this, what it looks like as these kelim spread, it looks like the movement. I think it's a movement nira kamarit. It's like the vision or the appearance of an image of a snake. Now he's talking about the development of kelim. Because he says on the outside of the Keilim, now we're still talking about carving out Keilim so light could come into them and come back down to the lower world. He says that the process of spreading the Keilim concept can connect them because of their Keilim, they have Kedusha inside of them, but on the outside of them, they're surrounded by he says, by the other side. By the Nachash, Bechinas Nachash. And it's in the same place. It's like a thermometer. It rises up and it comes wherever you have Kedusha, you have these guys. Yonkim min acharayim the Kedusha, and where do they live? They suck off of the backside, which is this kli that was carved out, he says. The Kedusha hanimshachim ba'olam harishon, and all of this comes from the first olam. So it's an arich. But Bechinas is pashtus a kelech and ganizkar. So he says the concept of this spreading of these kelim. Now he gave us an idea for the first birur. Is what happens there is that some kind of a kli is created as a result of these birurim coming up, and then it becomes like a template for all of the rest, all other kelim. So Arech Bechinas is Pashas a Keilim and Nizgar, who Aroch min Olam Mechatzilus is very long. It runs from Olam Mechatzilus ad Sof Asiyah. That is the concept that develops out of this word Kale. That's what he says, the Birurim that come to that place. Then corresponding to them, he says, whoa, oh my goodness, I just spilled my tea. But the shear is short, so the tea will have to, we're on about it later. Oh my God. 1 second. So much to know. There's a lot of tea there. Oh, all right, let's go on. It's not in my book, God forbid. All right, so give us a moment here to digest this Torah. I got better stuff here. Here we go. Better. All right. I'll just have to do better after we're done. Let's go back on. Let me see where I'm at. I'm sorry about that. Okay, let's see. I lost the place. Okay, it was Pasha to call the Khan of the Khan. I think that's where we're at, right? At the top of the Kuflam Vav. He says, Nachlash to keep Aroch min the Tekilas Atzilus ad Sof Asiyah. So it's very long. So it continues on. It's Pasha the Khan of the Khan that spreads on all sides. V'olam Arishon Shulchan Hadas Canal. Mis Pasha the Yamin the small that spreads right left. Yehadas kol chasadim megavuros. Now, where do we get the idea that this was das? So he said that the das has within it chasadim and gevuros. V'hem is pashtin the yamin and small, and therefore they spread from the right to the left. Akadugmas hakasvayim, like he says, what's on the right and the left is the shoulder. So it spreads down the shoulder. The shoulder is not just the joint; it's actually probably the collar and that whole area there. So he said the yamin is small. Kedugmas hakasfayim. It's similar to the arms or the shoulders. Shoulders. Ki kosef yamin, the right shoulder. Who besod the chasad the das. V'kosef small. Who besod gevuras the das. The lechem kosef is a gematria of 500. Older the mispech chamesh meos. Ki chamesh chasadim the das, because the 5 chasadim that we find in das. Nechfallen, they become multiplied, the chamesh and meos, they get to a number of hundreds. That is 500, but so kosef, which is the secret of the concept of the shoulder. Here in this case, we're talking about the right shoulder. The gemokein chamesh gevuras the das, and then you also have the gevuras the das. Nechfallen gam came the chamesh meos besod kosef, which is once again the concept of this word kosef, which means 500. Is on the left, small. Ha'olam yachad misper elef. Now they come together to be elef. Now what I'm missing here is he talked about the nachash. The nachash is the concept. I'm not sure exactly what he wants to say about the nachash. Just 1 second. He says the nachash is, as the Keilim is spread, it has the vision of being like a nachash. What's the problem with the nachash, and why use that word? So he says because on the other side of the spread of the Keilim that are not spreading, he says there is the klipa. So then he says the nachash the klipa aro min is aroch min techilas atzilus ad sofa asiya mispasha the kana. Just reading the top again because I wanted to know where he got the idea of das came from. V'olam arishon shuhu hadas. So then I guess he's talking about the malachim who died. Okay, now I got it. So the malachim that died, the first was das, and that's the one that runs from the top to the bottom. Let me go back down to the bottom. Now, as this is spreading down, and these klipos are going, these keilim are going from the top to the bottom, the klipa is spreading too. But chasadim, but gevuras the das, and they're around the chasadim and the gevuras the das. That is the right side and the left side. Shel yamin is small. But so the chizis chitzonim be'etz das tova, which is the concept of the fact that the chitzonim can gather onto and cling onto this etz das. This is this line of das that's running from the top to the bottom of v'chu besod elef yamin dechol shel sod hagamos. So this idea, the fact that the klipas are always around it, are always surrounding it, This is also the concept of the Elif Yamid, the whole 1,000 weekdays. Shall sod hagalus, which is the secret of galus. This is that there's never any real kedusha over there, I guess. So v'hagala v'zecha b'gam sod elef orim. This is yorim. This is also the concept of 1,000. A yor is like a canal, isn't it? Like a canal, our big one, our rivers. So mishpashter mechetziam l'tzad yamin, where half of the river splits and it goes down the right side. Shehim b'chasadim mishpashter b'zer anpin, which is the chasadim that really builds their anpin. V'chitzayim is pashter the small l'tzad small, and then there's another half that spreads down the left side. Shehim ha'gavuros mishpashter the nukva, because they're the gavuros that are spread into the nukba. Ubenechem rovetz nachash, and between them we have the nachash in between these two. So one side is so we have. It sounds like 500 on one side, 500 on the other side, and then in between the two we have this nachash. The Haidach b'makom kiber hakasfayim, that is in the place where the shoulders come together, which I think is the neck. Shalzer anpin. Shazer v'nokri, he says om deim ach ba'ach, where they are standing. Now he says they're standing back to back. This is a little bit of tricky here. Ve'elo acharayim heim bebechinas dinim. So the backsides, we understand that the zocha v'nok are ach ba'ach, and so therefore in between them is their backsides are touching. Therefore, I guess that's what he means by the shoulders touching. That's the only thing I could think of what he means. Because on those backsides of the Zachar Benog is where the klipos hang out. Sometimes it hovers over and it comes down on the right side. Sometimes it hovers over, comes down on the left. Zon Babaresha. So he said the Olam Arishon, so the first Olam, Hanahu Shuhu. What happened? What is that? I think he's done. Bye. Bye. Okay. All right, wow. It was a short one. I don't want to stop it. Okay, here it is.